Hello and welcome back to another Project Diablo 2 video. I am Kordesh and today we are going to be covering the team composition used to get the first Softcore 99. So let's get into it. So I wanted to kind of throw out a little disclaimer. This is not the first 99 of the season that went to a hardcore player named Horny Vegan. I believe there was he was a necromancer, and there was also a druid that made it to 99 on hardcore. So this group did not get the server first. However, they did do it the fastest as a group for softcore, and I think that their composition and their characters are pretty interesting, so I wanted to share it with you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and get on into this. This is the armory. If you aren't sure about this, you can go to game and then click on ladder or armory and you can pull up people's character stuff. I wanted to make this video because, if they're trying to keep this information a secret, maybe they'll clear out their characters or whatever, but here I am doing the expose. If I make them upset, then I'm sorry, but I just thought it was really interesting content, and it's really big props for them for planning on these characters and executing on it. So let's go ahead and look at the first character. So this first character is a Warcry Barbarian, and he has just a bunch of Warcry skillers, and on his offhands he's got a bunch of plus to Warcries. And really all this character's doing is, if you look at these skills here, we've maxed out Grimoire, Battle Orders, Battle Cry, Battle Command, a little bit in Taunt and some other stuff, but mostly we're buffing with, the normal Battle Orders, Battle Cry. We are applying a huge amount of attack damage with Grimoire, and then we could taunt things to debuff them, and that's pretty much it. And taunt is actually pretty safe here because we have a Wizard Spike and we have a Storm Shield, and so like fairly tanky. And after you taunt, you can kind of just walk away. But this is huge. I've covered why Warcry Barbarian is so good in my other videos on the optimal 8-man dungeon comp. But yeah, so this is just a great support character. And really, I think this is the only pure support, so I wanted to cover it first. Next up, we have a Summoning Druid, and the Summoning Druid is pretty standard here. I did want to talk about two things, which are the Heart of the Wolverine and the Oak Sage. So obviously, we maxed out Heart of the Wolverine to increase everyone's damage. The Oak Sage is a fairly low level. However, we still run a Spirit Keeper, so we can run both of them. So we can run the Oak Sage, we can run Heart of the Wolverine, and it's possible that maybe they run Spirit of the Barbs depending on the content that they're doing. If you're doing dungeons and the monsters are hitting super hard, it's possible that Thorn's damage is just better. But basically, this is just to make an entire giant front wall of monsters to tank for the party. And we got a bunch of summoning charms. We have a cudgel. We got a storm shield for survivability. Really nothing in the offhand, but really just kind of just a hodgepodge of stuff here. And a lot of this gear is pretty inexpensive. So if you look, it's meant to be kind of tanky and inexpensive because the more time they spend trading and trying to get these items, the less money they have to actually buy dungeons, buy maps that have +1 to area level, stuff like that. I will go back and look at the mercenaries. So the first mercenary we have, it looks like he is just using Azure for the Sanctuary Aura, and that's just increased magic damage done. And this is probably on an Act 3 Merc. I'm not sure which one. But anyway, so yeah, String of Ears, Leviathan, Steel Shade. These are very tanky things. They really just want this Azure Sanctuary Aura to just stick around, and that's it. So that's on the Warcry Barb. And so we've already covered the Summoning Druid. On this, we have an Act 1 Mercenary. It looks like we've got just kind of hodgepodge gear. Doesn't really matter. They're probably using this for Vigor Aura, if I had to guess. Again, String of Ears, trying to make it as tanky as possible. The next character is the Curse Necromancer, but the Curse Necromancer also has points in Golems, specifically Clay Golems. And the Clay Golems are used mainly, again, as like more of a tank buffer. And so if you look at this, we've got the Black Hand Key, we've got the Dark Force Spawn. We have +2 summoning and +2 curses, so it seems like we're trying to do a little bit of both. The Circlet is +2 to all Necromancer skills. So it's a little bit of a hybrid build. And the Grand Charms are all plus to curses, I believe. And we have Tranks for another +2 to curses. The rings are not anything special. The belt's not anything special. And Marowaks. So I guess that's just for CBF. So yeah, basically what this character does is it provides the curses that are needed. And these specific levels, I don't know the exact amount of plus to skills that are relevant to hit the breakpoints, but curses have very specific breakpoints. So once you get to negative 60 on amplify damage, you don't really need any more points into it. So if you get that with 8 points into it, then you don't need to put any more points. If you get lower resist maxed out with only like 6 points, you can do that. I'm guessing what they're doing here is probably using dim vision, weaken, life tap, and amplify damage. Those are the 4 that I'm guessing that they're using. It's possible to use decrepify or lower resist on physical immunes, but yeah, so it's a pretty cool build. On weapon swap, this is a snapshot for clay golems. So they use Karen Shard to get plus, 5 to clay golem, and then this offhand I think has another +4. So +9 to clay golem on the summons. They summon them, and then they switch back to cursing. As far as the mercenary, we've got this is an Act 3 cold mercenary probably. So we have Frostwind, and this resist cold aura gives everyone more cold resistance. However, it also gives 10% cold damage to the whole party, and that's relevant later. So we've already got the Sanctuary Aura to increase the magic damage. We've got Frostwind to increase cold damage, and this other stuff is kind of just whatever. Rockstopper. You'll see Rockstopper a lot just because people don't want to die. They don't want the mercenaries to die. See Verdunga's a lot. Yeah, a lot of this other stuff is kind of whatever. But a very cool build. I thought this was very cool. I actually did something similar, but for my own playgroup. But I can talk about that more. I'm going to have a whole video on breaking this kind of style down, this weird hybrid build. But very cool stuff. I love to see stuff like this. There's also another way that you can take this. If you look at other necromancers that are doing this supporting stuff, some of them go for revives, which is also very good. But I like this build a lot. I think this is genius. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff here and stuff to unpack. So next up, we have the this is a paladin, and so if you look here, it's a Holy Bolt or Fist of Heaven's Paladin. They're pretty much the same. You just max all the same skills. However, maxing out concentration. Now, if you look here, we have offensive GCs, and we have, I think this is offensive GCs. So we are trying to juice up our concentration aura. So this is a hybrid where we're doing some magic damage for sure, but also we're trying to bring a big old concentration aura. So this is what we're getting into the hybrid characters. And so this is the first one. Pretty straightforward stuff. We have a Wizard Spike. We've got Spirit Trap for CBF. Shaco. Haas is great. Water Walks. We have 2 skill rings on this because the skill rings are pretty important to get the offensive auras as high as possible, as well as getting, the Holy Nova, Holy Bolts, Fist of Heaven's Ire. On weapon swap, it looks like we have a Teleport Staff. For his mercenary, we have, looks like an Act 2 mercenary, probably, Thorns or Defiance or something. We don't really know, but all this stuff is just super tanky. I mean, like, really Rockstopper, Rock Fleece, and String of Ears with a Drax and a Ariox Needle. Like, he's not dying anytime soon. So, very cool stuff. Next up, we have another Paladin. And, yeah, this is basically the same thing, except we are doing Fanaticism this time. So, again, more offensive stuff. This has a Q-Hagens. We have Mage Fists. Naja's on swap again. Pretty much the same deal. I'm not going to cover it too much. This mercenary is also the same thing, probably a different aura. So one of them is probably going Thorns, one's probably going Defiance, one might be going Blessed Aim. I'm not really sure, but I'm guessing Thorns and Defiance because of all the summons that can reflect the damage and deal a ton of damage in hard maps and dungeons. All right, so next up we have a Sorceress, and this is a great build. I love to see this. So this is an Enchantress, and if you look at all the skills here, they're maxing out Cold Enchant, and mostly focusing on the Fire because that does scale a little bit better. The Cold Mastery giving Pierce doesn't really matter as much, whereas the Fire Mastery gives more just raw damage to everyone you're enchanting. It looks like they have a weapon swap for Chromatic Ire that does some stuff plus they're all skills. And as far as the thing, they have Fire GCs or cold GCs. It looks like they just have a hodgepodge mix of it. It's also possible that they have full fire and cold and, switch them out while they're buffing, but that's very micromanaging. I can't imagine them doing that for long stretches of play. As far as the gear here, we have a Widowmaker, and this is for multi-shot and guided arrow. And so after they buff up, they can then use, multi-shot or guided arrow to just shoot AoE or single target. We've got some attack speed and pierce, and Andy's Visage for the plus to skills, attack speed, life seal. Just really good stuff here. This is just a chance to pierce. I guess they really needed pierce. Shaft stop for just defense. It's these arrows are not anything special. The FCR ring with garbage. Like a lot of this stuff is just kind of like they are spending their money on maps and dungeons to just keep grinding them out because most of their damage is coming from the team comp. So as long as this character can buff and keep up with the group and not die, then we're good to go. Look at the mercenary. I did expect an Act 1 mercenary, so we already had one. So the druid had probably the vigor mercenary, so this one probably has the cold mercenary, if I had to guess, just for, you know, just to make sure they have all of their auras going on. So we have a Bariza, we've got a Rock Fleece, Nos Coil, Crown of Ages, you know, some bolts that add some damage. Really is probably just throwing on whatever they could find, but pretty cool stuff. And all of these enchants are going on all the different characters, all the different summons. I mean, you're getting a ton of value. The more targets you can hit with enchants, the better it is, even if it's only like half effectiveness. So now we're going to move on more towards the carries. And the first carry that I'm going to talk about is an Amazon. And so if you look at this, the Amazon is a magic Amazon. So we have magic arrow and guided arrow. And we have bow and crossbow skill. So we're scaling that that magic damage, and then we also have magic skill damage large charms. They're not perfect or anything. We have a mage wraith for, you know, it's giving, yeah, basically plus to those skills. We've got +3 gloves. We've got +3 helm, skin of the viper magi. You know, just some tanky stuff, but yeah, this should be doing a ton of damage. And don't forget, this is going to be benefiting heavily from fanaticism. It's going to be benefiting heavily from concentrate, and it will also be benefiting from the enchants given from the cold and fire enchant, as well as Heart of the Wolverine. This is going to get buffed up a lot. And the thing that's really cool about the magic damage conversion is when you have physical damage and it gets buffed up by auras and then converts, like, you're still getting that benefit. It's very powerful to do that kind of conversion. So there's a ton of damage. Love to see this. And they've covered a lot of the different elements with the enchant, with the magic damage from this. This looks like another Act 3 mercenary. This is a lightsaber with the resist lightning aura, and so this is buffing up lightning damage by about 10%. So now they've got all 3 resist auras at level 6. They've got the sanctuary aura, so they're buffing up damage as well as getting resistances for all of their mercenaries. So one is probably, you know, prayer, one's probably cleansing, and who knows, maybe the last one was lightning and just starting to shoot out stuff. We've got a spirit on this. We've got FCR gloves, you know, whatever. Mainly the rock fleece to keep them alive, and this is meant mostly for the aura. So really cool stuff. Let's move on to the next carry, and this is a physical damage carry, and it's another Amazon, and yeah, it's just a bunch of damage. I mean, we got a 662 ED bow, tons of ED jewels in it. I'm assuming all of these jewels are either damage or resistances. So, I mean, there's a lot of jewels to look at. Max damage, max damage, max damage. So this is the physical damage build. We've got a little bit of ED on here. And by a little, I mean 173. It's a lot. Valkyrie wing, laying of hands for the attack speed. Max damage. Looks like we've got lifesteal, Nosferatu's coil. You know, more damage with dual leech and some resistances. ED, IS, stuff like that. War travel. It's just really, I mean, this is a carry build right here. We're pumping out multi-shot. And I'm guessing for single target, maybe they use that 1 point in magic arrow or for physical immunes. But regardless, I mean, we've got, or sorry, guided arrow, not magic arrow. But this is probably the build that just fires a bunch of multi-shots into rooms and just clears them out and just does a ton of damage. This mercenary, let's check it out. Looks like another Act 3 mercenary. This is the resist fire aura. So now you have all 3 resistances. I thought we already covered this one, but this is probably the fire mercenary. Doesn't really matter, but yeah, so this resist fire aura, again, gives fire resistance and about 10% more fire damage. We got another rock stopper, rock fleece, verdungos, keep them alive. Just a random other crap. So yeah. And then that's it. That's all 8 of the characters, and they are crushing it. So, all right, so that's it for the video. I was a little sick. I had COVID a couple weeks ago, and so my throat was a little bothering me. So that's why, you know, if I sound a little bit different during some of the segments, that was why. But I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'll see you next time.